Part 2: Transformation and Spiritual Journey. By the mid-1880s, Narendra's life had entered a new phase. His beloved master, Sri Ramakrishna, was gradually moving toward the end of his earthly journey. Ramakrishna had developed throat cancer and suffered greatly, but his mind remained immersed in the divine. For Narendra, these days were a test of devotion and faith. Despite his own poverty and family responsibilities, he devoted himself to serving his master and caring for him with unwavering love. During these final months, Ramakrishna imparted his last and most important instructions to his disciples. He entrusted Narendra with a special mission: "You must carry my message to the world. You are the leader of this group." These words shocked Narendra, who considered himself unworthy. But Ramakrishna had seen his spiritual strength and potential. He knew that Narendra was destined to play a historic role. In 1886, Ramakrishna passed away, leaving his disciples heartbroken. For Narendra, it was a turning point. He felt like a child who had lost his parent. Yet, deep within, he remembered his master's command. He gathered the other young disciples and inspired them to live together as monks, renouncing worldly life. Under his leadership, they formed a small monastery at Baranagar, on the banks of the Ganga. Life here was simple, even harsh. The young monks had very little food or money, but they were rich in faith and determination. Days were spent in meditation, study of scriptures, and discussions about how to serve humanity. It was during this time that Narendra officially embraced the life of a monk. He took the name Swami Vivekanand, meaning, the bliss of discrimination, the joy that comes from distinguishing truth from illusion. From now on, he was not merely an intellectual seeker, but a spiritual warrior dedicated to serving God through mankind. After a few years of monastic life, Swami Vivekanand felt an inner call to travel across India. He wanted to see the land for which his master had given him a mission. Beginning in 1890, he journeyed on foot across towns, villages, forests, and mountains. He traveled from the Himalayas to the southern tip of the country, meeting people from all walks of life: kings, scholars, farmers, and beggars. What he saw during these travels shook him deeply. India, once a land of great culture and wisdom, was now suffering under poverty, ignorance, and colonial rule. He saw villages starving, children without education, and people divided by caste and superstition. This filled his heart with pain. He realized that true religion could not only mean worship in temples or chanting mantras, it must also mean service to the poor and upliftment of society. At the same time, Vivekanand was amazed at the spiritual strength hidden in the hearts of ordinary Indians. Despite their suffering, people still had faith in God, simplicity in life, and kindness toward others. The moment these words left his lips, the entire audience of over 7,000 people stood up in thunderous applause. They were struck by the warmth, sincerity, and universal love in his voice. It took nearly 2 minutes for the applause to subside, and Vivekanand had won their hearts even before continuing his speech. In his address, Vivekanand spoke about the ancient Indian tradition of tolerance and acceptance. He reminded the world that India had always embraced all religions, giving shelter to persecuted communities like Jews and Zoroastrians. He declared that all religions are different paths leading to the same truth, and that no one faith could claim monopoly over God. He firmly condemned fanaticism, bigotry, and hatred, calling them the greatest enemies of humanity. His speech was not just intellectual, it carried the power of spiritual experience and compassion. He did not argue to prove superiority but to promote unity. His words resonated with the universal longing for peace and brotherhood. The parliament declared him the greatest figure of the event, and newspapers across America hailed him as a messenger of Indian wisdom. From that day onward, Swami Vivekanand became a well-known spiritual leader in the West. Invitations poured in for him to deliver lectures across America. He traveled to cities like New York, Boston, Detroit, and San Francisco, addressing audiences that included scholars, scientists, and ordinary people alike. Everywhere, people were drawn to his magnetic personality, his eloquence, and his message of harmony. What made Vivekanand unique was his ability to present India's ancient spirituality in modern, scientific language. He explained profound concepts like Vedanta and yoga not as mysticism but as universal truths. He emphasized the divinity of the soul, the oneness of existence, and the importance of realizing God within oneself. His teachings appealed not only to the religious but also to thinkers searching for rational spirituality. During his time in the West, Vivekanand also faced struggles. The climate affected his health, and at times, he lived in extreme poverty, refusing to accept luxury or wealth for personal use. Yet, his mission never wavered. He established Vedanta societies in America and Europe, planting seeds that would grow into centers of spiritual learning. Many Western disciples, such as Sister Nivedita, Margaret Noble, became dedicated followers, joining him in his mission to serve humanity. His speeches not only uplifted the West but also had a profound impact on India. News of his success in Chicago reached home, and Indians everywhere felt a surge of pride. At a time when the country was under colonial rule and suffering from inferiority, Vivekananda's triumph proved that India's voice could be heard and respected across the world. He became a symbol of confidence, courage, and national revival. By the late 1890s, after spending nearly 3 years in the West, Vivekanand decided to return to India. He had carried the message of Vedanta abroad, and now he felt the urgent call of his motherland. He wanted to put into action the vision he had conceived at Kanyakumari, to awaken his countrymen and rebuild India through education, service, and spiritual strength. When he landed in Calcutta in 1897, he was welcomed like a hero. Thousands gathered to see him, cheering as if a great leader had returned from victory. But Vivekanand humbly reminded them that his mission was not about fame but about service. He told the youth, "Arise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached." Thus began the final and perhaps the most impactful phase of his life, the building of institutions and spreading his message in India. By the mid-1880s, Narendra was transformed. From a restless seeker, he was turning into a determined disciple. Ramakrishna often reminded him of his greater mission, to spread spiritual wisdom and awaken humanity. Little did Narendra know that in the years to come, he would rise as Swami Vivekanand, the monk who would carry India's spiritual message to the world.